What is up, YouTube? This is Lord Void here, and today I have another deck profile for you. Today I'll be showing you my Amorphage deck profile. So basically, Amorphages are like a floodgate type of deck that got released in Shining Victories. So without further ado, let me show you this deck profile. So first, I run 3 Amorphage Letry. So Letry is basically your floodgate for spells. So basically, its pendulum effect is that when you have this in the pendulum zone and you control an Amorphage monster, neither player can activate spells except Amorphages. So really good. It's really good to have this first turn. So yeah, three Letry. Next, we're gonna run 3 Gluttony. So basically, Gluttony is your skill drain. So basically, whenever you control an Amorphage, neither player can activate monster effects unless they're Amorphage. So these along with Letry are pretty good, but unfortunately they're both scale 5, so you can't put them together. For your beaters, 3 Amorphage Wrath. It's your 1650. Beat stick is one of the second highest level beat sticks to be level 4, and its pendulum effect is that neither player can tribute monsters when this is on the field and you control an Amorphage monster. So basically, this kind of shuts down decks like Monarchs and all that crap. So 3 Amorphage Wrath. Next, I run 3 Amorphage Pride. I don't really mainly use him for his pendulum effect. He's just mainly the 4-star big beat stick in my deck. So basically, his pendulum effect isn't that great. You just don't. It's just basically not. It just basically stops your opponent from like inflicting burn damage to you, like during their turn or your turn. So 3 Amorphage Pride. Next, I run 1 Amorphage Sloth. He's the supposedly big guy of the deck. So basically, when you put him in the scales or summon him off the field, actually no, when you put him in the scales, it just stops your opponent from searching. Your opponent can still draw cards. They just can't search for the stuff they need. Also, the monster effect is pretty good too. When it's tribute summoned or like summoned in any other way, neither player can special summon monsters from the extra deck except Amorphage monsters. Now this is pretty good. This is pretty good because any level 4 or lower Amorphage monster will have the monster effect, where it actually requires you to like pendulum summon this monster or flip it face up for it to work. So Sloth kind of disregards these conditions, and he's a pretty good card in this deck. So 1 Sloth because 2 or 3 would just clog up the deck, so just 1 is okay. Next, I run 2 Amorphage Goliath, the really big monster of this deck with 2750. It has the same effect, has the same monster effect as Sloth, but its pendulum effect is basically like Macrocosmos. So basically, any monster that would be sent to the graveyard is banished instead. So really good for killing BA and Light Sworns and all that crap. So 2 Goliaths. Next, I run 2 Amorphage Envy. I don't really run 3 because he's not necessarily my favorite, but his pendulum effect is that when you basically when you put it in the zone and you have like an Amorphage monster, your opponent can't activate anything in response to what you do. So basically, stops your opponent from chain link too and all that. I mainly use him just for like the defense since he's like pretty good with 2050. So yeah, 2 Envies. Next, I run 2 Greeds, basically your floodgate for traps. He's also really good for defense as well. So 2. Let's see. And for last of them, 2 Vector Pendulums, basically negates your opponent's pendulum effects. So really good if you're facing like Perform Pals or any pendulum sort of deck or Metal Foes. So 2. Alright, that's it for the monsters. Time for the spells. We run 3 Amorphage Infection. He's basically the main searcher of this deck. So basically, when your Amorphage monster were to get killed, or tributed, or whatever, or removed somehow by card effects, you can basically search for another Amorphage monster in your deck and add it to your hand. So you want to run 3 because you want to search. I run 2 Amorphous Persona. Basically, he has 2 effects actually. For this field spell, all Amorphage monsters gain 300 attack and defense. Also, twice per turn, if you tribute an Amorphage monster, you can draw 1 card. So basically, if you tribute 2 of them for each scale, you basically draw 2. So it kind of makes up for the lack of draw power in this deck. So 2 Amorphage Persona. And for the one-ofs, I play one pot of riches I run one pot of riches for like the emergency situations. Sometimes, sometimes your opponent will pop everything and you'll have all these pendulum monsters in your extra deck, but no way to get them out. So it's good to maybe like activate one pot of riches, shuffle 3 back into the deck and draw 2. So it's really good for draw power. I run 1 Ignite Reload. I would run 2, but I feel like 1 is enough. 2 just kind of breaks in your hand for some reason. So basically, he's like your magical mallet for pendulum monsters. It's except it's a +0, so 1 Ignite Reload. 1 Soul Charge. Many people don't really run Soul Charge, but sometimes bad things happen. Your Amorphages go into the graveyard instead of the extra deck, and there's times where you actually need them. So 1 Soul Charge just in case bad things happen. Scapegoat. 1 Scapegoat because it does the same thing. It's for the same purpose as Soul Charge. Sometimes there's emergencies where your opponent gets rid of your Amorphages and you have to tribute. So this helps keep the pendulum scales in place. So 1 Scapegoat. 1 Upstart for a 39 card deck, and that's pretty much it for the spells. For traps, I run 2 Amorphage Lysis. He's basically like so basically what his effect is that all monsters on the field lose 100 attack and defense for each Amorphage card on the field. So basically, it's a really great way to like bring down any powerful beat sticks that might be in your way to something sizable. So I like to run 2. 3 is a little bit too much. So yeah. Also, he has a second effect too that whenever one of your pendulum zones whenever your Amorphage monster in your pendulum zone gets destroyed, you can replace it with another one. So basically this card is really useful for replacing monsters in pendulum zones that you don't need, or just adding more material into your extra deck. So 2 is good. Then I run 2 Pendulum Reborns just to bring back any Amorphages from the graveyard back onto the field. So 2. Let's see. I run 2 Mirror Force. You don't want to. I don't have a Regeki right now, and I don't want to Dark Hole because I don't want my stuff being Dark Hole as well. So Mirror Force is really good for just blowing up opponents' attack position monsters. So 2. And for the one-ofs, I run 1 Solemn, 1 Breakthrough Skill, and 1 Bottomless Trap Hole. So yeah, that's it for the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you like this video, please give it a like, rate, comment, and subscribe for more. And I'll probably bring you, I'll probably bring out something other than Yu-Gi-Oh eventually. So look forward to that. This is Lord Void signing out. Peace.